Hi guys, this is Resident of Collinwood for YouTube. Resident underslash of underslash Collinwood for bit shoot. And if you see a glare on my glasses, it's because I'm sitting by my computer getting ready to write. But I'm here to talk about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre reboot. What do I want to see? I do not want to see them go back to the 70s. We've been there. We've done that. That's number one. I do not want them to cast a big name on this. I think that's the one thing they should take from the original. Definitely look at the original. Did the original really have a big time star name? Nope. Um, don't get me wrong. I enjoyed Matthew McConaughey in The Next Generation. I enjoyed Renee Zellweger in Next Generation. I enjoyed Dennis Hopper in Part Two. Yes, I enjoyed Jessica Biel in the remake, but again, I don't want to walk in predicting your movie. I don't want to walk in predicting who's going to live. Um, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise has had some interesting names take part in it, for sure, as you've just heard. So, what's something I want? I want them to set this in modern day. I want them make your audience understand the importance of these killers in this day and age. I think that's the one thing Halloween 2018 did that I liked was with the podcasters. Podcasting is so modern day. So you're stressing the importance through today's media or media platform. Why is Michael Myers still important 40 years later? That I liked. But with Texas Chainsaw Massacre, where Texas Chainsaw Massacre is different, is this is number one, this is a complete reboot. Halloween was a retcon, so I don't believe we're gonna see a sequel to the original. Um, retcon the whole franchise. No, I hope not. I enjoy part two. Why do we have to retcon shit all the time? My screen just went dark, but that's because of my screensaver came on. But the one thing I definitely want to see them do is when you. The one thing I think they can do actually is something I want to talk about. Look at today's world that we live in. Today's world is so full of things. Not social media is such a big part of life now, and I think if you're gonna stress that in a movie, then stress it. And that's something you could apply to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise. What if you took, let's say, 7 friends who were just fed up with social media? They were living their lives vicariously through it, and they were on Twitter, they were on Facebook, they were on Instagram, they were on YouTube. They lived their lives vicariously through it, and the stress and tension get to them, and they just want to get away. They want to step away from that type of society, so they go on a trip away from it all, and they want to find the furthest place away, and they leave. Now they do take their cell phones, obviously, but they stay off the internet. And I would have them go to Texas, obviously, and go to the country part of Texas and get lost. Their GPS isn't working. They're having trouble with their phones because they're. But obviously, that would be later. what I would have them do is at first they look at the landscape and they see how beautiful and wide open it is, because usually when you go to spaces like this, because I live up in the mountains, when you see just this beautiful open space, it looks beautiful, right? It doesn't look like anything could hurt you. But trust me, living up here, I know better. There are things that can hurt you. Um, and that's the same thing with Texas Chainsaw Massacre. When you watch the original, it's so beautiful, but something seems so off, so menacingly off. And that's something I really think they need to recapture with this reboot. You know, when you watch Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original, something was off. When they looked around, it was just, what the fuck? Like, something's not right here. And that's the feeling I want to get from, you know, whatever it is they're going to do from the actors they put in this film, is something is off here, and what is it? And something I feel they can do is when they're looking at that open space, oh, it looks so beautiful, it looks so beautiful, and then they spot something, have like two of them spot it, and let's say they spot like an old abandoned junkyard, and they see all these old cars. Well, here they spot a car that isn't so old, looks brand new. That's because it was. And they find a diamond wedding ring. They don't find a body or nothing, but they find a wedding ring. It looks like it has some blood on it. And the guy's like, what the fuck is this? Is this a wedding ring? Blood on it? Yeah. And they at first they're not panicking, because it's like, well, maybe it's just been there for a while. And you know, a guy might not think much of that. They might not, but have one of the girls, listen, it's a very nice ring. You know what I mean? And they say the only way somebody would get that off my finger is if they pried it off my dead body. And the guys are just like, well, yeah, but maybe it just, you know, somebody just left it here. You know, why is there blood on it? And if, you know, have the tension mount, and then boom, you hear the chainsaw. I just hope, however they decide to do this, again, just like something I want to see is that false sense of security. I think that's something that's so well done with the original. That's something that's timeless. You go to this place and you think, again, it looks so beautiful, it looks quiet, right? But the quiet is deceptive. It's a false calm. And that's something you get in many, many films, not just Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Halloween even, of Haddonfield. It's a false calm. It's a, you know, false quiet. So that's something definitely I want to see when they bring Leatherface back, when they bring that chainsaw whipping son of a bitch back. That's something I definitely want to see in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre reboot. Who should they get to play Leatherface? God, I think there's a lot of people they could get. I know you don't want someone overly tall. I think, let's see. I know a lot of people are going to point to Ryan Hurst right away, because he's off of The Walking Dead and playing, you know, that big tall zombie. I forget what they call him now. But Beta, I think. But I do think whoever they get to play Leatherface, you know, don't overthink it. You know, just pick your guy or pick whoever you're gonna choose. I'm trying to think if there's anybody I'd like to see play it. Trying to think. I can't think of anybody right now that comes to mind. But I think there's actors they're gonna definitely find. Gosh, I honestly do not have a name for Leatherface on who I think they should get, but another thing is, with Texas Chainsaw Massacre, when you really reboot this, learn from one thing. Have faith in the product you're going to put forward, not just in this reboot, but to follow it. Obviously, their goal isn't just to bring Texas Chainsaw Massacre back with one film and do nothing after it. Their goal, you gotta believe, is to completely bring this franchise back to life and continue it. And that's the one thing, seemingly, the one franchise that has struggled the most to do that is this one. And I think it's because of the errors that, okay, 2 was made in the 80s. One was made the first one was made in the 70s, okay? The first one was the best. It was, bar none, the best. Usually the original is. Part 2 was made in the 80s, and it was made way, way apart from the first one. The third one got hit with a lot of censorship, and video stores were not allowed to carry it. I shit you not, I'm not making that up. But it's weird because the Next Generation came out not that long after the third one, and people were allowed to carry the Next Generation, which I actually. The second movie I watched was The Next Generation. I didn't watch part 2 till after The Next Generation. I think it was the next year after. I'd watched part 3 because I begged my mom to go find it for me. Thank you, Mom. Uh, I begged my mom, we gotta find it. Oh, shit. Good times. Good times. Alright, we'll find it. Oh, shit. But, and then we watched the remake, and the remake it did well. There were good things, there were really good things about the remake, but again, there's one obvious thing, and I think anytime you put one big name star in a film, it's either you kill them right away, or you're left to watch them survive the film. And that's my hope for Texas Chainsaw Massacre reboot, is they take literally the actors, the potential protagonists, are a bunch of nobodies, no name actors. Literally, I'm not talking green as grass, mind you, but God, people we just haven't heard of to death, or somebody who isn't being built up through TV, or maybe someone who is on TV we just have not heard of. A bunch of people from TV you just haven't heard of. I definitely want to get you guys' thoughts. Is there somebody you want to play Leatherface? What do you want to see? I just want this franchise overall to, you know, not get stuck again just because of nitpickiness. I'm not here to nitpick the reboot. It's not even out yet. I'm not here to discourage it either. Please, we want it. I think most anybody wants another Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It's just time, it's time to breathe life into this franchise, but not just breathe life into it. And I think that's the one thing they've had the most trouble with, is keeping pace with it, keeping it going. It's not so much about showing out a movie. They've done that. They've shelled out a movie, here or there. But when it comes to consistency in the franchise and keeping it going and going and going and going, that's the one thing this franchise seemingly has had trouble with. And I don't want them to have that trouble. I want them to build upon whatever story you're going to do here, and make sure you can take the story you're doing here forward. Find a way, whatever your story is with this movie, whatever it is, find a way to keep bringing it forward into the next story with the family, with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre family, because it's not just Leatherface. There's a family, but I'm curious to see if they'll cast anybody from the antagonist standpoint knowingly. My favorite antagonist, people are going to laugh, was Matthew McConaughey. Laugh if you will. That goddamn bionic leg, that mechanical leg, he stole the next generation. To me, I really enjoyed Matthew McConaughey's performance. He really was just enjoyable to watch. He was dangerous and funny at the same time. It's not Joker, mind you, in that sort of way, but in the very Texas Chainsaw Massacre way you came to love. It reminded me a lot of the characters in 2. It seemed like his characters, I'm not saying he was copying those ones, no, but he seemed to embody all of them at once at times. And then they would like fight with in Texas Chainsaw Massacre the Next Generation, they would fight with each other, which I thought was funny. They would just like start smacking each other around like the fucking Stooges. Like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, poor. I didn't feel sorry for Leatherface. I'm not thinking if Leatherface had half the brain, he would just turn a chainsaw on these idiots. Like, what are you doing? But he was too worried about mutilating people. Um, I highly recommend Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Next Generation. Strongly recommend. One of my favorites installments in the franchise. And people are probably going to shit on that, but go ahead. um, again, I want this franchise to not just make a movie. We've seen they can make a movie, but make a movie and keep the franchise going, not wait 10, 20 years. If this is successful, if this gets off the ground and it's a success, and God willing it will be, don't wait 10, 20 years to give us a second one, you know, and have your story pick up where this one leaves off. Give us somewhere to go with this. That's something I definitely want out of this franchise most of all. So I would love to hear your thoughts. What do you want to see out of this franchise? Who do you want to see in it? Is there somebody you're wanting to see from an actor standpoint or an actress? I think that's all for tonight. You guys have a good one. Like, share, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.